He looks a lot like how I started some of my Chaos Spawn. Aethermatic blue into kind of a light purple wash for the hands. But he also looks like a thinner version of one of the monsters. As a model, he looks like one of a thinner version of the monsters. From, I don't know if you've seen the movie The Gate. The movie was so weird. We need to get into it. I got some time today. We can try to finish up this one Mutalith Vortex Beast and continue pushing on the other. So, live. We in it. We in it, kids. So we're gonna finish up this guy, his base. And the way the bases work on the first one is I kind of made the ground look like it was turning to glass. I don't like how dark this is. I feel like it's darker than usual. There we go. But the glass kind of came out to be the same color as the crystals and protruding stone from him. So rather than make this one the same color glass, I think I'm gonna lean into that concept of how the sand kind of turns in to the color that they represent with their gemstoning. Nice. We'll start it up. We're going to use Familiar Pink from Speed Paint 2.0 because it's actually a really good pink speed paint. Because Games Workshop has like Volupus Pink or whatever, and that's like, eh. And it's going to be mostly where the crackle paste is. We might do a little bit of white dry brushing eventually to it. But yeah, he looks a lot like my Chaos Spawns, which I have here and I could show you, but it's the same concept. You used a light blue speed paint, right? Or a, I'm guessing from the look of it, it looks very aethermatic. But it could be, whatever I think Plasma Blue is the speed paint version, the Army Painter version. I think it's a good way to paint that kind of like demon skin, to do like a blended shade from like the blue to purple. It looks good. It always looks good. And if you do it fast enough, it actually looks really smooth with contrasts. That's cool. I'm guessing he's like one of the villain characters, like enemy monsters that can show up. Is he Tzeentch in nature, or is he just like a dude? Because he looks almost Nurgle. Like his body form almost looks Nurgle, except it's very clean, so maybe it's more Slaanesh. Like, he has the Nurgle hunch that a lot of the Nurgle units get. Alright, looks good. Oh, he's a dark elf. They just have him? Neat. So I guess he's like a twisted abomination that they made, or is he like one of the weird situations of like they suddenly just got a flesh demon? Or I guess they might have found him on a planet and thought he was kind of cool, so they kept him like a pet. Dark Eldar do be weird, though. A little bit sick. There's something definitely going around the area. I don't get outside that often, so I'm pretty sure I caught it from one of my parents helping them out with construction and stuff on their new house. Because I noticed my mom was coughing a bit more than usual and my dad was coughing, and I was like, no. And then I started coughing. And I don't know where they got it from. More familiar pink. I really want these guys to be done. I'm gonna try to get a game in this coming weekend. Like, I want to do this list. I want to build it, I want to get it together, and I want to do a 2K meme list into someone. Well, you got a stream, not so much a video. So hopefully we can help you there. I did really want to get a video done this week, but like Saturday hit and I was so tired. And then Sunday I was like, all right, I'll record. I've got time. But then I sat down at the table that I had set up to record, and my brain was just like, dude, I'm gonna fall asleep. I was like, oh no. So I had to call it. Spent the weekend trying to recover from just being dead tired. Oh god, I forgot to do an Argos Dunes check. It's always a scary situation when you remember how much Argos Dunes you use all the time. That's the sand color. So a little bit more Argos. A little bit more Argos. Oh no. What's up, Quendy? I have like 5 almost empty Argos Dunes bottles. Okay, I found a fairly good one, but before we finish the next one, I'm probably gonna need to go on an Argos Dunes run and hope that the local store has it. Yeah, but YouTube doesn't care if you don't have the energy. You need more. More! She who thirsts. Oh, nice. They do give you a ton of those scout heads. I just don't like the free head look. The friggin' no helmet look. I love helmets. Less to paint. Because I feel like every time I want to paint heads, unless I'm doing my my zenithal lighting approach, I want to like leave the heads unglued until the end. So I can paint them differently, because doing a dry brush approach, or doing an airbrush approach rather, to head painting. Oh god. I feel like you always want to sub-assemble. That way you can always do the head like kind of flawlessly. Do some white priming. Because with armor, like with what I've found for airbrushing, the whole point is to try to like do a cool base to whatever you're doing. Like you can do multi-shade, you can do all this fun stuff to try to like simplify your process and just speed certain elements of what you're doing up. That way it still looks really good, at times potentially better, but it also shaves off like hours of work. The whole point of it. There's more people at in the local group, the local, I guess, club, who have been picking up airbrushes recently, and they're all like on that cusp of using it the first time, and it's kind of exciting. I was talking to one about it, and he definitely overthinks kind of the full process because he wants it to be perfect. He wants the first one he works on to end up being perfect straight out of the gate. So like he's been doing like tons of research looking into the different blends of like thinner and flow improver, and like he's trying to figure out the actual answer. And considering how much I know about, like, from me looking into it, I tried to confer to him that there is no answer, that you actually have to figure it out locally for yourself, because literally that shit changes based on like barometric pressure. Like it's like baking. Where you are currently in the world changes what you need to do for your airbrushing to make it like flawless, but you don't necessarily need to go that far to pull it off. You can kind of simplify things. Oh, they're weird little like downward facing bulldog sad face masks. The Reavers get the masks that have the skull print, and I think you get a ton of Reaver masks that you could probably use on almost everyone. I feel like they gave me more Reaver masks than I needed. So I picked up Pacific Drive. It's actually really good. It was kind of like my burnout game. Because it's pretty chill. It's got some good vibes to it, too. Like, it has a radio station you can turn on while you're playing. And the music they picked out for it is actually just, like, really good. For just driving around. A lot of it is genres that I don't normally listen to. But, like, I don't know. It's for the scenery, for how the game works, it's just flawless. When you drive around a corner listening to just, like, this crazy epic freaking travel song. And you see, like, a weird view. No, yeah, I've been playing. I'm level 43 in Helldivers 2. It's good. The main reason, and this was the thing, because, like, I do the other podcast and I talk about stuff in games and things. And I'm constantly reminded that the average human being's listening comprehension is, like, through the floor. Right? Like, it's just way low. So, one of the people who used to be on the podcast heavily, but then had a kid, and now has got to, like, doing her own thing for a bit. She occasionally comes back. She decided to stream one day. She decided to play Helldivers 2. And, she was bringing me into it for that day to play, when she was streaming. And I was checking out the chat, and there was a person in chat who was just like, huh, it's strange that he said he would only play it for a weekend, and yet here he is playing it all the time. And it's like, wow, you completely didn't hear what I said at all. I 100% said the reason I didn't purchase it at first was because my close friends said they were only going to play it for a weekend, and I didn't want to buy a game I wasn't going to play with anyone I knew. Like, I've done that way too many times, buying a co-op game and then having to play it solo or without anyone I know. And it just gets boring over time. But then my friends had been playing it, like after the weekend stopped, I kept seeing them in the game throughout the week. And by about Wednesday, I was like, so are you guys actually going to keep playing it? And he was like, yeah, I think we're going to keep playing it. And I was like, cool, so I bought it. And I've been playing with them, like, constantly. Which is great. That's how I want to play it. Ooh. I like that, the teal look. Yeah, Helldivers is alright. It's kind of buggy still. Like, I still get crashes. My buddy still crashes. Like, we have people who crash while we're playing it. Like, it's just how the game is. They need to sort that out pretty heavily. There's something I think about the sound file in the game, or the sound memory allocation. Because I always feel like when it crashes is when a lot of sounds happen all at once. Like, if you're really close to a cluster bomb strike with, like, a ton of enemies, like, your computer freaks out a little bit. Like, the moment you hear, like, 30 screams all at once, it's just like, and your computer's crashed. Well, the game crashed, not the computer. It kind of sucks. Especially when you're doing, like, when you're going hard, like, you're trying to get stuff done. And you're, like, many missions in, you're feeling pretty good about what you're doing, and then all of a sudden the game's just like, and crash. Oh, dude. I mean, I'd suggest Pacific Drive because of how chill it is, but it takes some time. Were you here for my UR025? I think you were, right? I went with, let me get the focus going. What's up, gaming? Yeah, there you go. So I went with a really light blue wash that's almost like a shader, but not really. And then I did a white dry brush over top of it. And then I did the orange lining and all that. Make them look kind of cool. was debating hitting him with the brass. What is it? The oxidization. I don't know. Maybe. He's cool though. I like him. But yeah, like I'd suggest Pacific Drive, but Pacific Drive I definitely view as a time sink if you're gonna play it. Because the maps they're not short. You need to, they kind of are, but they kind of aren't. You need to drive around and like collect things and build stuff and enhance your vehicle. I have a plan on how to enhance mine. I just need some more supplies. And I think the plan would work really well. We're gonna dry brush some fulgrim around the outside of these gems. Need to lighten the pink up a little bit. That's definitely a chill game. That helped my burnout pretty hard. Kick the tunes on, just drive around looking at anomalies and things interacting with each other weirdly. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fully, once I get enough rubber for it, I'm gonna fully insulate the car. And then buy a, it's called the lightning rod upgrade. It basically hooks a lightning rod directly to your car battery. So whenever you take electrical damage, it like recharges your battery. But then the fully insulated doors fully prevent electricity from being an issue. So like you'll recharge your battery and then you'll be fine. You won't take any damage, which is neat. Although the radiation one's probably a better idea. But I am noticing that occasionally I'll get into a randomly generated map that's just filled, completely filled with electrical traps, and it's super obnoxious. Like I got into this one map that had every known electrical anomaly. Like it had the towers that shoot lightning bolts. It had these things called Minutemen, which is like this big wall of electricity that just like goes flying around and just creates weird pathing for itself. It looks cool as hell. Like one of them tried to intercept me while I was driving, and it has this really amazing looking electrical blurring that occurs at the end of it while it's chasing you. So I was basically just like drift frickin' spinning out and stuff trying to stay away from it, and it was just ripping through the ground behind me. It was so cool. So cool. Whole time I had frickin' rockabilly blasting on the in-game radio. It was really nice. What I think is interesting, though, about the game, because we talked about it a bit on the podcast, and one of the people on the podcast was like, I don't want to play it because it looks a little too detailed. Like, there's a little too much going on. You need to pay attention to too many things. But I think next podcast, I might bring it up. There's actually settings in the game that turns all that detail off. Like, if you don't want to have to deal with, like, balding tires and car damage and all this and that and healing things, you can actually change the settings in the game to, like, hyper simplify stuff. So that you don't have to care as much about, like, the weird little details. Because they have this thing I just found out about last night. Like, I just started looking into it. There's your car over time, there's a type of damage that your car gets that isn't apparent. It's called quirks, and anyone who's had like a car for a long time, like I had one car for 10 years, you kind of pick up on quirks of the vehicle over time. Like, there's something about the vehicle where it does something that seems weird but is manageable, so you don't really like worry about it that much. And I started to notice when I was driving around that if I opened the hood of my car and closed it, the dome light would come on. And I was like, this is weird. I wonder what this is. Like, why is this doing this? And then I found that there was this this device in the game that you can go to, and you're supposed to, it picks up the quirks. It knows what the quirk is, and it knows how to test it. So you kind of go through and like pick a bunch of little details to be like, oh, when it's with the hood of my car, when it opens and closes or whatever, it toggles the dome light. And then you click check, and it checks all 4 of those systems to be like, oh yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Here's how you fix it. So you can kind of fix the quirks your car has. And right now, mine aren't that bad. But I'm not too sure, because one of them's with the headlights, apparently, and I don't know what that's doing. So I don't know what I need to do to fix it, or if I care. But there are moments where it's like, if you put your car in drive, your passenger door will open. Which, that's not great. You can close it by driving by something and hitting it slightly with it to close the door and then driving off. But like, when you're dealing with big, crazy anomalies, you need the car doors to be closed or else you'll start taking damage. Like, you don't want to drive into an electro mist whenever, when your doors are open. That'll fuck you up. Might need to get the different dry brush. This one's a little too small. It's an interesting game though. Definitely really cool spin on a roguelite setup. What are you all up to? We got one guy doing work today. You all being lazy, not painting your minis, huh? Huh? I cannot wait for these guys to be done. They look so good. Need to go over to the music page because there's a chance. Yep, that was the last one. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's fine. You could always do the lazy man approach like I did with my Gene Stealer cult. Gene Stealer cult was so easy to paint. Took no time at all. Which is actually kind of wild because there's a lot of competitive players that take the lazy man way like I do, or like I did rather, with those armies. And it's been wild watching tournaments on live streaming where like half the people in the comments are just like, why aren't these amazingly painted? Why did these guys not put the effort in to try to make their armies look incredible? It's so shitty that they don't paint their stuff. And it's like so weird to see it because like the people who are like with the kind of not fully painted armies are usually in like top 3 because like that's not the thing from 40K that they really like. They like the list building, they like the strategy, they like all that, and that's like what they hyper focus on, which is great like if you're trying to be competitive. And then they just follow the basic tournament rules of 3 colors. That's it. That's all you gotta do. As long as there are 3 colors on that model, you're good. Like, a lot of the armies I've seen at LVO and stuff don't even have basing. That's always the best, too. When you have an army like that that's like, metal, green. Go. That's why I went with Iron Warriors as one of my first armies I ever made. Because, like, I was looking into them and I was like, wow, all these armies look great, but there's so many, like, colors and things I have to do with, like, trim. Oh, it's going to be crazy. I don't want to have to do it all. And then I saw a picture of an Iron Warrior and I was like, oh. Black primer, friggin' bolt gun metal dry brush. Done? I'm in. Sign me up. So this is supposed to be jazz. I guess it could be considered jazz. I don't know. Sounds more like a ringtone that was getting angrier and angrier with me for not picking up. But yeah, like the main reason I like airbrush and looking into some things is you find things like OSL, right? You find stuff like OSL and you realize when you see OSL for the first time that could just be your whole paint job. Just a dark base color and then pick a thing on them that's casting light and then hit it with OSL. And there you go. Your paint job's over. But yeah. So there's that guy. There's the older brother. Oh, they look so good next to each other. What's up, Oliver? Dear God, I cannot wait to put them on a board together. We still got a third one to make, though. Oh, they look so nice. They look so nice. Third one. How you guys doing? Or how are you doing, rather? It's good to see people out on a Monday. As we slowly work, finish my Mutilith Vortex piece this week. I am really hoping they're going to be done by Thursday. That way I can try to plan a game for Friday or Saturday to record a little bit of. Get the B-roll of me playing with my meme list. Indeed. Always. When am I not being heretical? I'm painting grimdark models with bright and vibrant color. It's to some people, that's the pinnacle of heresy. This thing should be like dark blue flesh tone. Really dark bone color. Things coming out of it, and you know, maybe some blood. I am performing a consistent heresy here. Pretty sure you still see color vibrance when colorblind. You just mess up some of the colors. Might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Well, it's the, it was the saturation, or the hue, right? The hue shift? I don't know. I know there's a bunch of versions of it. And it's one of those weird things where you kind of don't know. Like, because we all grow up in a similar fashion, go to similar school, well, similar-ish schooling. And when you're in that school, teachers are like, what color is this? And, like, a kid or one or two kids will be like blue, and then everyone in the room will be like blue because they heard the kids say blue. And like even the colorblind kid in class is like, I mean, it's kind of closer to purple, but I guess, you know, it's the right answer. It's like a little off from purple. But they, you know, everyone's saying blue and they're all getting, you know, a little applause. So, might as well just be blue. Alright, that's what they said. Yeah. And there's like so many variations and differences within it. But it's a weird idea. Like, I don't know how extreme it can get for some people. But like how most, or how a lot of people rather, I guess, see the sky as being like the light blue that it is. And like the amount of people who are just who are like conceptually like, oh man, how would a sky look on an alien world or something? And there's genuinely people in this world who already see what a sky on an alien world would look like for them. And it's like an interesting idea. I just think it's an odd, interesting concept. There's like crazy natural occurring things. Like it's kind of a funny thought process for how the world works in general, that there's all these weird things that like the planet does that not everyone's seen. So like the notion is just one of those like weirdly hard to consider concepts. Like I don't know if anyone's ever seen like one of those bright pink night skies that usually comes before a big storm. I've seen it. That shit fucked me up. When my whole life assuming nights were just dark. Freaking wake up one day. Wait, this is... Oh yeah, this is permanent. Wake up one day late at night and see like bright pink coming through the window shades, and I was just like, what the hell is this? Am I being abducted? What? I'm trying to decipher the question. Which one do I prefer? what is this unit from? Trying to. See, this is rough because, like, okay, universal preference is kind of a lie. Like if this was one of those like, if you could only play one for the rest of your life situations, it's a little bit not great because, like, I have to look at it from the perspective of who am I going to be playing against, like all the little side things related to it. Because right now, community-wise, locally speaking, 40k, definitely better. My one buddy who was playing Kill Team with me for a while prefers 40k, specifically because the way it works is a little bit more interesting to him. He likes kind of the speed of setup and everything, because 40k has a lot of posturing and pandering in pregame, which I'm okay with. I actually like that that's kind of how it is. Like, turn 1 is usually you setting up for turn 2. Your traps, your sequence of interesting concepts. Both in hopes that you get initiative as well as in the chance that you don't get initiative. So I kind of like that. It's kind of like solving a riddle when you're playing. But he doesn't. He prefers the faster approach of, like, see something, shoot something, roll dice from turn 1 onward, that kind of stuff. That's the approach he likes. And I get that. I actually do. In all the 40k games I've played, I've actually really enjoyed playing them for the most part. Just due to how it is. The thing is, okay, because current 40k actually adapted a lot of functions from Kill Team into it, which means there's a lot of elements that I didn't like about 9th that got adjusted to be closer to how Kill Team works, which I actually prefer. The lower amount of command points, the ways in which those command points work in either offensive or defensive situations, as well as timing on them. Like, there's really good approaches with those that aren't kind of like how it used to be, where you'd spend one of your ridiculous amount of command points on things that'll occur like before the game even happens, that might kill a bunch of enemies. Like, it's just weird sometimes with command points. But I do like Kill Team for its approach of, like, alternating turns, for how much focus it puts on the individual model being sort of its own standalone squad kind of deal. It's like that simplification. It's also sort of the answer to how do you deal with elite versus horde in this situation of alternating turns? Well, you provide the elite the chance at leveling the playing field a little bit. I actually showed one of our friends was like, "Yo, I want to do a D&D campaign with you guys," and we were like, "Cool." He was like, "I was really hoping 40k had something that felt D&D-esque because I think it would be cool to do something in that universe." And we were talking to him about Kill Team. We were like, "Dude, look at this. The way they have things statted, the way things are laid out. So it's like alternating turns, which is almost like initiatives, which could easily be adapted as such. Like, we went over all that with him, and he was like, I think I could take these rules and easily adapt them into like a D&D style situation. So I do feel like there is some good connection there between like pen and paper tabletop like D&D with Kill Team. Because I even showed him like the leveling up system and all that, and we had like, we were kind of searching into the concept of like what we could do to make like a D&D style game out of Kill Team based on those rulings. No, there is. There's a full pen and paper. I think it's called Inquisition or something. And they always have like, they had a bunch of expansions. Like there's the Sisters of Battle expansion. There was like an Aldari expansion. But with the recent release of the Rogue Trader game, the Rogue Trader game kind of laid out this interesting idea, because in Rogue Trader, like, they sort of show how that system in 40K works, where you're this person who has like a direct imperial decree attached to their name, which means you can actually command certain people to like do things for you. And you have enough sway over kind of the galaxy, and or at least your part of the galaxy and wherever you go, that you can kind of point, like, in that game you have an Aldari ally, which in any part of the universe, like, every single person is immediately who meets your squad with your Aldari ally is like, oh, you have a Xenos pet. That seems odd. Like, they don't like it. And even your own party's like, you should never listen to this Xenos on our team. You should probably just kill her and get it over with, instead of keeping her around and having us risk our lives to help her. But like, you could do that, right? Like, you could almost do a Rogue Trader style thing with Kill Team. You could go into the Elysidian, because they are partially a Rogue Trader team. You could grab like the leader unit out of that as like one of the players, and then other players can kind of go in and out of other things. Well, that's the other thing with this game. They actually did a really good job, I think, with the Aldari, because there is this cross-section of Aldari who only have some idea of their heritage and history. She's one of them. She doesn't really have that direct connection to their past. So, like, she doesn't have a full understanding of where she comes from. So she was, like, on a planet with humans helping them out, because that's where she was stuck, and she decided to just help. She understood that the people were kind of afraid of her. So she stayed away, but she still helped out when she could. And the local ruler, like, let it happen, you know. Would usually assist her sometimes, but not always. So there was this more interesting social interaction in that universe, where you got to see kind of like the other factions from a different perspective than just, you know, the normal Imperial propaganda of burn the Xenos, purge the heretic. So adapting, if you adapt the way Kill Team works, I feel like if you put in a little bit of work, right, You could make it so that, like, your team's more like the Blackstone Fortress team, right? And then you as a DM could have, like, a bevy of demons, a bevy of Chaos Space Marines, cultists, and you don't put full teams on the board, but you can utilize the rules therein. Like, imagine the team coming across, like, 4 cultists and maybe, like, 1 Iconarch. And the cultists can still enhance themselves. That's up to the DM's discretion. And then as full turn sequences move on, you just use the kill team rules in general on a board that you can set up to create the actual fight. And then you can still play based on intention, where someone's like, I want to go to that cover over there. And then you as the DM can measure check and then, you know, finagle it based on distance. To be like, oh yeah, it's within range. I'll say that you're there. And it can feel more like open. And you can get leveling and requisition gear. You can actually create your own gear lists based off of concepts that you can easily see just by checking the different factions for like their specialty gear and what might interact, as well as creating like quest-based items and things outside of the scope. Because one of the key things I actually showed my friend was the idea that there's a kind of stealth actually built into the game. I don't know if you're familiar with Spec Ops, or not Spec Ops. God, what the hell was it called? Infiltrate? I think there's different names and different setups for it. I actually played 1 round of Infiltration once, and it was actually kind of cool for a stealth idea. Let me look it up, because there's a specific name for it. Is this ragtime? What is this? Yeah. Where is it? Sentries. There it is. There's a couple different types of sentries concepts, but basically in a sentries map, you have this interesting setup of points and stuff, and the attacker is usually in stealth. The defender is usually active, and the defender doesn't get their full team on the board. Like, let's say this team's trying to infiltrate like a Chaos Space Marine thing to try to like get stuff or activate a thing. Maybe there's 1 Chaos Space Marine on the field, and like maybe 2 or 3 of the people decide, hey, we're gonna stealth in. So you set it up for sentries instead of like a regular fight. And there's this like back and forth quick turns between the people infiltrating and the DM with the units they have access to on the field already, where they kind of like look for each other, right? Like the people on the field can go in certain directions to do certain mission objectives and change how the field might be set up. You know, they can put traps down, they can do stuff. Pre-open doors, I don't know. And the way the stealth works in the game, sort of, but the way the stealth works in the game is it's sort of like if you're the stealther, maybe you get lucky. This was actually something I kind of liked about the general idea of it, is your stealth is kind of based on luck. So there's a dice roll that's made whenever it's the defender's turn to go to see whether or not the attacker gets to sort of determine where those the defending units are going. That's actually a thing. Like, it was kind of this cool concept, because if you think about it flat, right, the person playing the defender will know where your units are, because you put down these little tokens on the field that represent them, but you can't quite see what they are. They're usually just like 1s and 2s, right? Like, you already have a 1 and a 2 assigned to the units that are actually on the field. but they're limited to just having like mission actions and move actions and I think dash actions, and that's like about it. Maybe you can change it. Maybe you can like add charge action or something. But the moment the defender has one of the attackers in its line of sight is the moment the mission starts. Like everyone on the defender side comes in, everyone on the attacker side comes in, regular deployment. But then those people who were already moving around, the attacker and the defender, they're where they are. And that's like the end of it for them. I think that those two have to be in engage at that point, maybe. There's like limits to it. I think they have to be in conceal, maybe. But yeah, it's entirely based on luck whether or not someone's gonna see your stuff before you actually like go. Which I think is kind of cool. It's a cool way to change it up. Then they have like last stand missions for like endless waves. So Kill Team itself is highly adaptable, which I like. Let me check this out. Okay, yeah. And because of this adaptation, I think you could easily generate a D&D style game just off of it. And I think the hardest part would be balancing how it works on the field. But because of the compendium, because we do have some of the teams that are new, like the Votan, finally got their own type of team, we basically have everything you could possibly ask for to get some basic ideas on how units work. And then I think as a DM, you could easily go, all right, you guys are going to be playing from the Imperium. I'm going to say that you don't get access to the Custodes or Grey Knights. And we'll see what you guys come up with for your team based on units you can look around at. And I mean, if the people you're playing with are, if there's like 4 of them, you can try to adapt, right, the game to a little bit. Because then someone could be like, I'm going to be a Castrican gunner with a melt-a-gun. That's going to be my character. And maybe you can change it. Maybe you can even limit it to be like, oh, well, you can play a Castrican. And you can start with a melt-a-gun or maybe just a las gun. The hotshot las rifle. And then maybe over time, you'll get access to other guns like plasma guns and stuff that you'll be able to, you know, equip kind of like in D&D, and then you'll be that character instead, like that kind of stuff. And then just do your own little miniature rogue trader world, I guess. Maybe if somebody really wants to play an Aldari, you can let that happen. You're like, yeah, that's fine. You could even write it as though it's in that part of the universe where the Tau and the Imperial Guard actually kind of work together occasionally. Anything's possible. I think it could be cool. Yeah, but I mean, it's down to the DM, I guess, at that point. Like, they might want to play a Thousand Sun Sorcerer, but unless you're actually playing, like, a campaign, because that's the thing, you could do that, technically. You could do, like, the campaign from the Chaos perspective. But what I think should happen is Orc perspective. Gretchen campaign. Orcs invade a planet currently under Ascension Day by the Gene Stealer cult. Everyone must roleplay as the orcs. Cockney accents only. Dude, you could use a bomb squig as, like, there could be a person playing as them, but you could just use the bomb squig as, like, gear. Like, someone could, like, get a bomb squig that they just have on hand. And then maybe they can, like, they kind of use it during the actual game. But, like, if they don't blow it up, then they can keep it between the rounds. And then that's, like, kind of where the fun begins, right? Because then you can start testing and, like, kind of crafting other enemy types that don't exist within Kill Team based on the lore and the rules from Kill Team, right? Like, imagine trying to homebrew a Dreadnought. Maybe that's, like, a big thing, like, later on in the campaign. For, you know, the Rogue Trader crew, they've gotten some gear together. They have a pretty good idea on how to play. They've maybe unlocked some cool special rules for their characters and some, you know, custom gear you've developed in the form of, like, grenades and other such things. And then one of the arcs of the campaign culminates in whatever enemy faction you're facing being like, ah, well, you never expected this, and then you put a Dreadnought on the table, or a Hellbrute. And it's like, what? Just a Hellbrute and a ton of standard cultists, not the kind that evolve, but the kind that come out of the compendium that are a lot more basic. Make it so the Hellbrute occasionally, based on a roll, goes into a Berserker state and attacks the closest thing to it, which means it could just kill more, could kill a bunch of cultists. You know, some fun flavor. yeah, this would be probably the penultimate moment in the team versus the Thousand Suns, who are like secretly taking over a planet. Like one of those underlying secret things they're doing. It was all in efforts to summon a Muteth, or summon a Lord of Change. And your interference was enough to piss them off that instead they decided to utilize what power they have gained to summon a Mutilith Vortex Beast instead and send it on you. I really hope we do get done all these little spikes today. I can't remember what color I decided to make the spit on this one. One's purple, one's blue. This one's supposed to be red. I think we're gonna go red on this guy, maybe. Alright. Have fun at work. Good thing you finished your Phobos. Always good. I really am the lunch break stream, man. Oh god, more ragtime. Why? Why the ragtime? The Hand of Archon on my buddy's army. I could probably grab him from him at some point here. Work on it a little bit. Can't remember. I don't think he's using them as models he needs in his 40k army. Is this more ragtime? What is happening in my life right now? Jesus. Yeah. Who texted me? Oh, God. Dude, there's so much. We have to do the teeth on the tongue. I don't know if I can do red as the spit. I don't know if that's like a thing. Because if the tongue is this magenta color, the red's gonna clash with it. Could have swore I had a plan for the spit color. Maybe yellow. I don't know. I'm a little disheartened from making them, just because the last like 5 that I recorded I can't use, just because they turned out really poorly in terms of gameplay and us kind of doing the rules properly. That was the Spec Ops campaign. That was the hope, man. I was hoping the Spec Ops campaign would become like this big series I could show you guys. But literally by like game 4, I realized it wasn't gonna happen. Like not as like I guess we went into it thinking it would happen. Like it just went really bad really quickly. So now it's like I have all these hours and hours of recordings that I can't use. Just because like, what's the point? So now I'm kind of stuck in this holding pattern of wanting to do a battle report, needing to find the time to record it with my buddies, or the sad thing is I'm probably eventually going to have to record one of them by myself. Like I'm just gonna have to give you guys a game of me putting 2 factions against each other just because of how bad timing is for a lot of people. Like one of my friends is working on his wedding plans, so like he can't really get out here and do anything. The other one's getting back into the swing of the regular work schedule for the year where he's like constantly working all the time. So it's just this consistent, like, oh yeah, I can't make it out, I can't play, and it's like, well, I need battle reports. So it's hard scheduling to get to a good spot to be able to record with like locals in the club. I know of a place where I probably could do it. It's just a matter of getting out there and checking if I can. Yeah, man, without a consistent group, it makes battle reports really hard to put out. I need to do it. I love doing them. I think the next one isn't going to be Kill Team. It's going to be Underworlds. That was the plan. I set up all of my stuff to record an Underworlds game. And then I just got like really burned out and sick over the weekend. Kind of stopped all that. This guy goes hard. It's decent. It's actually really good. It's real quick. Locally, we have a Rivals League that we kind of do. We just got into it. A few people bought a couple teams, a couple boards. Biggest criticism I have with the game is that you can't just buy the boards like on their own, as far as I can tell, which is a little obnoxious. I'm hoping that at some point maybe that changes, or maybe like an Etsy store kind of solves that equation. I don't know. But basically you have to buy the seasonal boxes in order to get the boards to use, and Rivals League uses the most recent ones. So my local store has a bunch of like the old Underworlds boxes that are actually really cheap. Like one of them's 50% off, so it's no joke, like $40 to get 2 teams, a bunch of tokens, and 2 boards and stuff. And I wanted to expand with those boards because the only boards I have right now are the weird hollow boards. So kind of a cool element of it is when you play, you pick your board. Right? Like you can have a full collection of boards and be like, huh, this round I want to use this weird hollow board. Like from each of the seasons you get 4 boards total. 2, but then of course double-sided. And whoever your opponent is supposed to have their own boards in the league as well, so technically you could both use the same board on your side. The board kind of decides how you're allowed to set up, the kind of benefits you get in terms of like line of sight breaking things, as well as like traps, damage components, like all this cool stuff. Things I think are really cool, at least. Make it stand out from other games. And then the way it works is, even if you have like a really large team, kind of like how Kill Team answers Horde versus Elite with Overwatch, Underworlds answers Horde versus Elite with, no matter what, you can only activate 4 units in a turn. And that's it. Like, there you go. You can have tons of units on the field. You can only use 4 of them. So you better have a plan with those 4 that you're using to try to score points. You know, do stuff. And that the missions are randomly drawn. It's all card gamey stuff too. Like, you don't, neither opponent knows what the other has for the most part until it's revealed, right? Like, so between each like round and action, you can use spells, you can use all kinds of cool stuff. You can enhance units. There's this cool function in the game where the enhancements, they all cost 1 energy, and the energy is only achievable by completing missions or killing enemy units. It becomes like a sub currency. I don't know. For me, it was really cool. It was a really cool game to play. It played out differently than what you would expect. And what's cool is if you're a fan of AOS, every single Underworlds team exists as a usable squad in AOS. And they usually come with really unique rules. Ephelim's Pandemonium, the one that I use, she becomes a character unit as well as a mini unit in AOS that you play. You put them in separate spots, like they're not all one unit. They're separate for purposes of AOS rules. But she has the ability personally to teleport an allied unit that's on an objective to any other objective in the game bar, like, with some caveats. Like, there can't be enemy unit within a certain range of it. There's all these specific things. And it's just like a wildly different ability that most teams don't have. That it's kind of cool that this one unit does. And like every single Underworlds team that exists, again, can exist in AOS. So there's like weird elite teams. Like if you're into these, what is it, the Stormborn? I'm trying to remember their name. The big Custodes team of AOS. Yeah. Stormcast. So like if you play Stormcast, the box that I bought has a 3-person team in it that works for Stormcast. I think you get like 3 different commanders or something out of it. So yeah, I have a 3-person team from Stormcast. There's like a bunch of them though. There's the starter set has a Stormcast team. There's a Stormcast squad of hunters, to my understanding, that exists. Like all 3 of them use crossbows and things, which is kind of cool. They bring like a unique flavor to any team that might want to take them for AOS. Like there's a really cool orc team that's literally just like 5 grots or like 7 grots or something, and like one of them rides around on a squig. God, this song. Skip. After we finish the basing on this teeth, we'll do the gold, and then I think we'll do the spit. We might do the spit in yellow. Thinking we go yellow. could have swore it was the Skaven, considering how often they win. That's what I keep hearing, at least. I'm not really that into AOS, like, hardcore. But I feel like the last few tournaments I've watched, every single tournament's ended with, like, a Skaven victory. I thought the running meme was that everyone's sick and tired of Skaven. The little Grot characters, though, from Underworlds looks really cool. Because they all wear, like, these little crescent moon hats, which makes them look hilarious and awesome. Because to my understanding, the orcs in AOS, there's that, like, cross-section of them who love the moon. Like, the moon's kind of their whole shebang. To the point where, like, there's a major rule with it where you as the player can determine where the moon is at the time of playing, and in the different quadrants of the map where the moon is, you get, like, all these buffs. Which was kind of cool. Felt very orky. Orcs do look great in AOS. I love how many cool orcs there are. Now that they got, like, the Cruel Boys and everything, there's just, like, all these cool orc options. Alright, let's do the gold. So we did the I think we need Hoplite. Because we did Aztec for the 1, and we need, like, a bright gold now. I think Hoplite gold might be the way. Yeah, we did Aztec. We're gonna do Hoplite gold, and then we might have to round it out with a bright gold dry brush or something. What did I say? What did I say? Yeah, it's the name of a color. It's like a slightly greenish gold. Which looked a lot weirder than I thought. Like, when I first started using it, or when I first saw it out of the golden line, because gold actually, the golden line has a greenish gold, and I was like, why would anybody want a greenish gold? That seems weird. And then I used it, and I was like, oh yeah, I get it. Apparently, if you live near a Buffalo Wild Wings, because the Super Bowl went into overtime, they're doing free wings today. You can go in and get an order of free wings. You have to be there in person to get it. It's between like 2 and 5 or something. For me, this feels like one of those things where, like, we could all band together as a society, and everyone individually goes to every Buffalo Wild Wings all over the country, and gets free wings, and immediately puts them out of business. All because of some bullshit they said. I wonder if every store has like a limited amount of wings they do. It's not worth the flight. They're not good. Like, there's so many like small mom and pop wing places in this area that I've been to, and I'm like, man, Buffalo Wild Wings is like mediocre at best. Like, there's this super cheap pizza place near me. Like, massively cheap pizza place. And if you eat their pizza, yeah. You're like, yep, this is definitely cheap pizza. It has the same consistency as like cardboard. The cheese is like the worst grade you can possibly get. They give you very little dough. Like, you can order a large from them, and they stretch the dough out so much that there's literally like nothing. Like, you'll get the pizza and it's paper thin. Like, it's just not good. And one time I was like, I wonder what the rest of their shit's like. So I decided to risk it. So I ordered their friggin' chicken wings. I was like, whatever, because the chicken wings were cheap as hell too. I was like, all right, I guess that's fine. They were so good. They were so good. I don't understand why the wings were so good. They had crispy outside. Like, they fried them perfectly to be like a bit crispy. The inside was like really juicy. I don't understand. After seeing how god-awful their pizza was. Like, finding out their wings are also cheap, but actually amazing. I got to a point where, like, I stopped. Like, I stopped ordering their pizza, because I used to just order it once in a while, because it was, like, super cheap. I mean, you know what you're getting. And I kind of like that, because it's like, yeah, it's cheap. And you're like, oh, sweet, cheap pizza. But then I was like, dude, I'm getting similarly cheap wings that are way better than their pizza. It depends on what kind of pizza you're looking for. I feel like... There's greedy gold. I need bright gold. personally, I could have swore it was out here. Personally, oh wait, bright gold. No, bright gold is this. Got it. Personally, I feel like if you're looking for like genuinely good oven-fired pizza, the Salamanders. Because think about it, built in, the Salamanders have that like innate need to always do the best they can for general people. Which means if you ever went to a Salamander's pizza kitchen, like they would probably put themselves into debt trying to make you the best pizza ever and trying to get it to you for the lowest possible price. You could probably walk in there and be like, oh, I don't have any money. And they'd be like, free, take it, eat. You need to eat. And, you know, they're all about that fire. They get fire. They know it. They're probably in that oven making that pizza, like, making sure, staring at it. Checking to make sure that the toppings are, you know, going together just right. I feel like that would be the way of it. Like, they'd be very serious about trying to make the best pizza humanly possible. And then figuring out how to make sure people can just have it at great cost to their own lives. I feel like Dark Eldar's pizza would, like, make noises while you ate it. Like gargling or screaming. You'd have to question where the pepperoni came from. The sardines would actually be staring at you while you ate them. You'd order a pineapple, and then whatever the hell came out on the pizza is not the color of pineapple. I would 1,000% tell anyone in the world to avoid their meat lovers. I feel like if you ordered a pizza from the Aldari, you'd get it like a year later. And it would be the most perfect pizza of all time. So, like, maybe worth, if that's the way you want to go. I probably wouldn't knock you for choosing Aldari pizza. You're like, yeah, I ordered it. Hopefully I live long enough to taste it. Feel like they'll get to it. One day. Probably working on it now, trying to figure out the existential dread of topping flavors and what makes the perfect pizza. Oh, what's this? Night Lord's pizza would be the same as Dark Eldar pizza. It would just be flesh toned, and you're just like, don't think I want to eat this. I feel like if the Tau owned a pizza place, they would call it the Firecast.
Starting to believe I can make a change in my reality. And you, the one I looked up to, is no longer a thing I need in my life. I wish
Orc pizza would look the worst, but because they're orcs, and because of how it works, it would taste the best. Because I feel like they would give it to you in full belief that they just handed you the best pizza ever. And because they believe that, no matter what it looks like, whatever you're about to eat is going to taste the actual best.
discovering my light just outside of your shade. And you doing the things you do, try to dim the thing that makes me me. I wish you well, I wish you peace. I hope that we'll find harmony. I wish you good, I wish you well.
Like there'd be like diesel fuel on it. Like it would act, you'd look at it, you'd be like, I'm gonna die if I eat this.
Made up my mind,
But then you eat it and you're like, oh my god, I need more.
I'm done with your lies.
This is now my permanent place to eat pizza.
I think I'm numb to it. I'm outgrowing the stretch. I think I'm finally in a space to say I wish you well. I wish you peace. I hope they will find harmony. I wish you good. I wish you well. I hope that this is our farewell. Yeah.
Maybe. I feel like they would make a wild pizza, right? Like they live in some of the most ridiculous situations, like super heavy gravity, black holes, stuff like that. So I feel like their pizza making technique, because I mean pizza is basically just baking, so there's a lot of elements of pizza crafting that's like related to where you are in the world. Like you kind of have to figure out like what's best for your oven settings, timing. It takes a very refined way of like cooking and tasting to figure out like the perfect way to approach making pizza, right? So the Votan would be making the pizza under like the most ridiculous conditions. And maybe something would come out of that. Right? Like they'd have like hypergravity pizza or something. Where the pizza is like the size of a, let's say, like a Tostino's pizza roll, but like the amount of food in there is just so intense. Like you're not gonna be able to eat the whole thing in one sitting. They'd hand it to you and you'd barely be able to carry it. just like, what the hell? But that STC would be like bound into like a knight or something, so it'd just be a knight walking around shooting pizza at people. Quench your hunger. Pew pew pew. Pizza that could end cities. Just as the Emperor wills it. Dropping pizza from low orbit. feel like going to get pizza from the Sisters of Battle, from the Sororitas, would like feel really awkward. They'd probably make you have to come get it. You walk into one of their churches, and then you'd have to like sit there, and they'd be like, you can't pick it up until you listen to this sermon. God damn it. Hungry now. It would be like a like one of those Christian or Catholic friggin' services. They eventually get to like the blood and the body of the emperor, and that would be like your pizza. Like, I just came here to eat. Fine, I won't do it again. Just let me leave, please. Place would be called like Our Sister Cecilia or something. Our Sister Sicilian. Patron saint of pizza. Yeah, but you'll have to worship Big E for like the whole day. Like, it's not even like you show up and they ask. They're like, hey, you believe in the Emperor? And you're like, yeah, and then they hand you the pizza. They're like, hey, you gotta sit through the sermon. You better know all the responses. They won't hand you the hymn book. You better know the hymns. If at any point they notice that you're not, you know, keeping up pace and doing what you're supposed to do, straight in the penitent engine. He would technically he would make someone else make a crazy pizza, and he would take credit for it. He would make an alright pizza, a good base pizza that would inspire someone else to make a much better pizza, and then he would take that pizza and claim it's his. There's a reason why we don't see a lot of Thunder Warriors. What up, Arturo? We are tearing through this last Mutalith Vortex Beast. We got the second one done. I'm not changing my title because I am lazy. We are working on the spit color. And talking about which faction in 40k would make the best pizza. I think we've been, we've for the most part have settled on the idea that it would take a while to make, but it might be the Eldari that make it the best. But like, the Salamanders would probably have an amazing place to go to. There's a high chance Dark Eldar pizza will make noises that are very organic while you eat them. So you might not want to. Yeah, we also said Night Lords. Night Lords pizza would probably be flesh toned. And I want to stay away from the meat lovers. We think orcs would look the worst, but probably taste the best. Just because they would believe wholeheartedly that their pizza was the best. So, you know, that's how that works. We figured that the cooking conditions that the Votan would live in might make some ridiculous types of pizza. Like they would have like a high gravity type pizza you could purchase through them that is like the size of a Tostino's pizza roll, but probably has the equivalent mass of like 40 pizzas in it. You ordered Imperial Pizza through the Sisters of Battle, the Sororitas. They would make you come down to the church to pick it up, and you'd have to sit through a whole sermon. And if they noticed you didn't quite know the words, you'd, you know, kind of disappear for a while. The Tau would name their pizza place the Firecast. I don't know how it would taste though. It'd probably be like kind of, it'd be like a starter pizza. It'd be like they just figured out how to make pizza, but they're actively trying like real hard to make it the best. So, you know, be a lot of automation at that place, I'd feel like. Death Guard would be like, you'd get sick, but that, like the look of that pizza would, all the scenes where you see like two pieces of pizza get pulled together or pulled apart, and it's just all that stringy cheese. There'd be like the most out of all pizzas in the universe that you'd pull apart. There'd be like a billion strands of cheese, just like nah, and you're like, oh, that looks crazy, but then you realize maybe that's not all cheese, and you're like, I don't think I want to eat that. Think that might taste terrible. just a super sloppy pizza. What else we got? I feel like Necron pizza would be like, you'd order it, it would look like a pizza, and you'd be like, that's cool. And then the moment you go to eat it, it would like turn into a machine and kill you. Right? It'd be like the flayed one of pizza. AdMech pizza would probably come from like fully automated everything, like creating the ingredients out of like sludge basically, and like they would never touch it. It would just run through a machine, and then it would be like 3D printed, and then you'd eat it and it would have no flavor. Flavor is illogical. I mean, that's 100% what they would be like, because it would all be about, their thing would just be about it being the nutrients needed for you to continue living, and that's it. Not about the taste anymore. Just about the fact that you're getting, be like eating a multivitamin in the form of a pizza. Techno heresy, man. I feel like even though the White Scars would be the fastest delivery service, I feel like Deathcore of Krieg would be like the most efficient or something. Not well, like the most like, if you got to deliver that pizza to like a horrible place, it'll get there. Don't you worry, it'll get there. No matter how many of them have to die, it'll get there. Nor rain, nor sleet, nor orbital bombardment. I feel like if you ordered pizza from the Alpha Legion, like the moment you click order, you'd hear like a slight noise, and you turn around and then the pizza would just be on your table. But you'd start to really think, like you'd look around and you'd be like, something's off, because they moved things in your room, but just slightly. Like everything in your room got moved like an inch to the left. And you don't quite see it. You're like, what? What's happening here? You know something's wrong, but you can't put your finger on it. I mean, that's how you'd answer the door for the World Leaders Pizza, and it would just be a guy with like a sword and like no armor staring at you. And then there'd be like a sword right next to your door frame of equivalent type. Or maybe a bigger weapon. Maybe they'd be like, oh, I could take him even if he had a bigger weapon than mine. And then behind that world eater would be your pizza. And he would just stare at you. And be like, do you think you're worthy? It's like, oh god. I feel like if the World Eaters were a college fraternity, they'd be the fraternity exclusively for freaking sports bros that no matter what, at any moment in time, if somebody says something to them that feels even remotely like a criticism, they'd immediately take their shirt off and be like, you want to go? They'd just be out and about and they'd be like, interesting shirt color choice. Shirt comes off. Immediate. You wanna go? Like their storefront would double as like a boxing ring gym. Marinara for the Marinara god. Time is it? I actually do gotta pay attention to time today. I got something I need to do around 3 o'clock. We're getting close. I'll make sure I'm heading out around that time. Trying to get as much done with these green crystalline forms for that point. I feel like the T-Sons would bring like a taser to school. Expecting that to happen. Plans within plans. You'd kind of stay on the outside while frickin' the Space Wolves and the World Eaters fight each other. And then whoever wins that fight gets up and is like, yeah! And then just gets tasered from behind. And technically they wouldn't be in the wrong. So, you know, kind of works out. Robot Girly Man would be the dean. Everyone keep bringing their problems to him. He'd probably hate the art teacher. I don't even know why I have to pay you. The art teacher, if the school would just be a middle school, the art teacher would be Fulgrim and there would be nude models. Just bring in nude models like every day. Not tell anyone. Black Templars would be the ones that, like, tattle on people, so maybe. I feel like they'd be the ones that, like, they don't tell on you, but they wait till after school to show you how much they hate that you, like, go against the school. Like, the absolutely weird kid who's like, you weren't cheering at our sporting event loud enough. Everyone's like, what? I was at the event. I liked it. Yeah, but you didn't make a bright enough sign. Then they beat the shit out of you. And just like walk away. Like, what? I think music over for this page. Yep. The White Scars Primarch would be the driver's ed teacher. The school would probably have a bunch of lawsuits on its name because of that. What's the speed limit here, little Timmy? Whatever the hell you want it to be. I feel like Cruz would be the janitor. Or Kurz. He would just like show up like in weird Like something bad would happen. They'd be like, we gotta get the janitor. And he'd just be like right behind him already. What do you need? Horrifying. We'd know all the secret passageways in the school, how to get like through all the different friggin' duct vents and everything. Would create some tension when like a kid vomits in the cafeteria. Everyone's like, oh no, he'll be here. I feel like that'd be the situation where like you'd kind of lean in and like reassure the kid to be like, don't worry, I won't hurt you for this. And the kid goes home and his house is burned down. It's just like, no. I feel like the leader of the word bearers would be the history teacher. And he wouldn't use a single book, he'd just make it up as he goes. I mean, PE teacher would have to be Angron, right? Left! Run! Ah! Shop teacher would probably be shop teacher would probably be Russ, right? Because he was always the tank developer. Am I getting that right? Isn't the Le Monroos based on like his design or something? I thought one of them created most of the standard patterns for the vehicles. I think it's just named after him. I thought there was one Primarch who was like really good at creating vehicles. So like some of their basic pattern things were him and not like the stuff that they were recovering from old tech. Maybe. If they had like a old dead language class, like my middle school, super posh. It had a Latin class. We could learn Latin. I feel like so there'd be like a Grey Knight teaching that. Nah, Horace would run the debate team, and Abaddon would be the head of it because he'd be a nepo baby. Like most of the people on the team would realize that Abaddon's only like kind of good at the debate. And that like any other one of them would just be better. But because he's got that heritage. I feel like the line would be like an honorary, like higher up on the school council or something. And like he would just never show up to meetings. Like somewhere along the way, someone was like, this guy's really good at this job. So they bring him in. And they're like, yeah, this is awesome. But then like he just doesn't show up to any of the board meetings. Probably like drive by in a nice sports car or something every now and then. Everyone else working at the school is just constantly pissed off every time they see him. God, what? Why does he think this is fine? He can just show up whenever the hell he wants and make us do things. And leave. Probably spend all of his time trying to make sure to like defund the janitorial staff. Hate that guy. Yeah, it's go home time it looks like. Have to finish this guy up another day. It's getting close. Getting very close. Green crystal's almost done. At that point, it's just basing. Which, by the way, before we head out, just to show them off. We did the pink that he creates. Looks good next to his older brother. Still not varnished, which is going to change how the shimmer works. And I can't wait, because the shimmer on this guy is dull. You can kind of see it in the camera where it goes blue as he turns. But like, it's a lot duller than like what this one is. This one's very bright, but if I hit this guy with varnish, it's gonna make that dull. There's a chance I might try to varnish him today. I don't know. I don't need to varnish him today. But yeah. The one done extra. One more to go with this boy. And then the triple Mutalith Vortex Beast list is no longer a meme. Don't let your dreams be memes, children. And then we can get back on our Black Fortress. We have so much to paint. Oh god, we have so much to paint. Black Fortress, Orc Commandos, Kroot Farstalkers, Vet Guard. I gotta get moving though. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for talking. And sadly, no video this week, and today's stream was actually kind of slow. I mean, I don't expect much. This is a weird hour to stream. It's fine though. It's fine. At least we have these moments of hanging out, talking about 40K while getting some painting done. But yeah, maybe more streams later this week. Hopefully I can actually get that video together. But yeah, till next time, guys. Later.